the band got together trick?
Sometimes it feels like this band just got together yesterday, and sometimes it's like back when Kane was able, way before the stable.
Well, Tom and I had been friends since I think we were 14, 15 years old. I spent every summer up in New Hampshire at Lake Sunapee at my parents' summer house, and Tom lived near there all year round, and every summer we would get together and hang out, and we both loved the same kind of music. Coincidentally, Steven, who had a band, and he was a few years older than us, also had a place up at Sunapee, his uncle's place, and he would go up there, and we used to go and see his band play.
Especially at this place called The Barn, which was this club that no mother wanted their kid to go to.
He was looking for a new situation, and he had come and seen Tom and I play, and he saw that we were just like kind of go for the throat rock and roll. We played like heavy electric blues, you know, that was coming over from England, and it really got him off. And you know, we got to know each other, and he had a lot to teach us because he had been in the business longer, and he actually had a single on the jukebox at the place where I worked to wash dishes. And once in a while he would come in, and I remember having to clean up the mess a few times when his band would show up because, you know, rock and roll 101 was make mess, cause public disturbance, and behave like rock star.
At that point, Steven was deciding whether or not to leave his band and come play with Joe and me. And we were pretty sure he was going to, but while we were waiting, we moved down to Boston. We got an apartment, and we started looking for a place to rehearse and a drummer.
Joey Kramer, who was kind of in the same area in New York that Steven was, so they kind of knew each other through high school and then playing in bands.
He knew a couple of guys that were looking to start a band. These two guys turned out to be Joe and Tom.
Let's form a band. Let's put on white shoes, play through big amps, and have a party. Our first gig at that point was at a high school, which was right near where I grew up, called Nipmuc.
It was a high school gig. It was one of the first ones. Joe's mother and father bought the band a bus that we bought from a bunch of hippies that you could convert over from propane to gasoline. So when we ran out of money for gas, we turned it to propane. And we would go on these road trips, and Nipmuc was one of them.
We played in the gym. You know, it was a high school dance, basically.
It was when we realized that stuff was gelling, that it was magic, that we weren't just jamming anymore, that we had learned the secret. And I'm not quite sure what that is, but we learned how to be a band and how to play together and how to make it sound heavy.
Nipmuc was the first gig that we played where the name of the band, which we finally chose as Aerosmith, was on the banner, and that was the start of it.
I had this dream we were going to make it. Didn't have a Grammy, didn't have a record, didn't have anything, but if I could bring a little something home. So I went into the locker room where they let us change.
We stole t-shirts from the gymnasium in that school. And to this day, Steven and I still have them. They're green t-shirts with white writing that say Nipmuc High School.
You gotta go to New York. You gotta play down there. There's this place called Max's Kansas City.
1971, we all had the starter's gun. New York was such a pity, but at Max's Kansas City, we won.
Max's Kansas City was this very trendy, hip club down in Lower Manhattan.
Which had a stage the size of a postage stamp, which Aerosmith always comes to life on.
You know, we played a few songs and played an abbreviated set.
Clive Davis happened to be sitting in the audience.
The clientele there was very hip, intellectual, cool, New York beatnik kind of thing.
And we did a song called "We Don't Want to F You Lady, We Just Want to Eat Your Sandwiches."
And he pulled us aside and he said, I think you guys got it. He was thoroughly impressed. It was one of those things he'd go to your head real easy, you know. I was president of Columbia Records. Thinks we're really cool. I think we got a record deal. It was wonderful because the limos drove off into the night and we kind of loaded into our taxi and went back to the Gramercy Park Hotel and just wondered what the hell was going to happen.
And then Stephen wrote a song called No Surprise, which described the whole thing.
The lyrics to that song, No Surprise, pretty much relate to that fateful evening with Clive Davis. And again, we didn't know how far we were going. All we knew was we made it that far. And we were pretty happy about that. And we were getting a lot of what we thought we needed or thought we were supposed to get as so-called rock stars. And little did we know how far we had left to go. Stephen sort of put this sort of autobiographical set of lyrics to the song, which the more time goes on, the cooler it gets to hear it.
Really, all in all, as a band goes, No Surprise was the first one where I was able to put together in my lyrics what was actually going on at the time. And it was epiphanious in a sense that 1971, we all heard the Starters' gun. New York was such a pity, but in Max's Kansas City, we won, which is what we did. We all shot the at the bar with Johnny O'Toole in his scar. And then old Clive Davis said he's surely gonna make us a star, just the way you are. But with all our style, we could see in his eyes that we were going on trial. It was no surprise. And to this day, it's one of the most ass-kicking, and I was gonna, of course, do I wasn't down today, I wasn't listening. But what I wound up doing was answering Joe's guitar lick with "Got on bound for 1971," and the moment that I did that, it all just fit. Real magic moment. So, Stephen, tell me about what it was like in the old days with the Orpheum. The Orpheum Theater, edit.
We were on the ascending path and playing huge gigs, and it was right after one of those huge stadium gigs in '79 that the band kind of flew apart.
After the band had broken up, and it really didn't break up. I left, and a year later, Brad left. But Aerosmith did not break up. I mean, that's they went out still under the name Aerosmith and played gigs, and Joey, Tom, and Stephen kept it together.
We were really starting to get serious about putting the band back together.
And it was after a gig that we did at the Orpheum one night that we were up in a hotel room, and Joe and Brad came to visit, and we all kind of got together for the first time in like 4 or 5 years.
We all went and partied for a little while and talked about how great it would be to put the band back together.
The real significance of the Orpheum Theater is we played a gig there in 1984, I believe it was, with Joe and Brad coming back into the band again.
It was a riot. It was, we brought living room furniture out there with lamps and everything and set the amps all up, all around it, and we just had faith that the band was playing great.
There was no alternative for us. It was that we were going to make it no matter what.
Well, the Orpheum Theater was one of those places when we were starting out, we would go see, big acts.
Back in the day, before you knew you made it, you would go see bands like Joe Cocker, Van Morrison in Boston. But the one place that they played, which was really kick-ass, was the Orpheum Theater. And one time we got to open up for Mata Hoople.
That was just a place you wanted to get to. You wanted to smell that dressing room and see it from behind the curtain, I still love playing there. It's got so much history for me and for the band.
We were in St. Petersburg, we played Moscow, we were in Red Square. It was just amazing.
We just went there for the first time, and it was like playing Japan for the first time. Everybody knew the lyrics.
For us to play there had some special meaning for us.
The reaction that we got was incredible.
Going to Red Square and just some of the places that just you'd read about and hear about so many times when you're growing up.
I remember long ago touring in Europe, and people would come up and say, "Why don't you play Russia? You have tons of fans there."
Years and years we've heard stories. Oh, you guys are huge over there. You're huge. When are you coming? When are you coming?
And we heard from people that went over there that there was a following, an underground following.
Which really shocked me because I just assumed that our music was against the law there.
We all had a feeling that this was all politics, and the average person probably liked our kind of music.
There were all these people for all those years that were into Aerosmith.
It was as if we had been there the whole time.
It was obvious to me that we should have been there a little sooner, but we just hadn't had a chance.
It was really an incredible feeling, almost like we were involved in their struggle to get rid of this horrible dictatorship.
It used to be the big threat, these people are dangerous, They're not dangerous. The audience was just Aerosmith freaks. 9-year-old kids and the lyrics to all our songs.
They loved rock and roll. They loved that kind of music. And just as much as we loved bands coming over from England, they loved bands coming over from America.
What was it like in Russia? I walked down the streets for the first time without a security guard, but I had old Bobby. Russia was prekrasna. Is that another outtake reel? No, it's good.
Here we are, January 2001, and we're playing the halftime show in front of almost 1 billion people.
It was one of those gigs that were so big, and it's kind of like, you've made it when.
Let me just tell you, backstage, it is a zoo, and it's mayhem, and it's everything is just barely comes off, and everything's done in the last second.
Oh man, a big game at halftime. You got to get it right. There's no second takes.
The whole thing had to be up and down in 6 minutes. Set up, playing, and tear down.
We do the rehearsals the day before.
It's just an incredible thing that it comes off.
And a bunch of stuff didn't work. And you're like, whoa.
You just turn around and ask your wife, what happened?
We love it, that after all these years of staying together, we get to do stuff that we never dreamed we would do.
And when we did it, there wasn't, as far as I know, a single glitch. A real magic show, in a sense that we did Walk This Way, and everybody was involved.
The fact that Walk This Way was chosen to be the vehicle that we were all going to play together was a testament to the power of that song.
When we started out as musicians, music and sports did not go together.
I don't know if anybody saw this or not, but at the Super Bowl halftime, Ben Stiller, Adam Sandler, and Chris Rock took us down into the basement, and we did this quick little shtick where at the end, if my lips and jowls look really big the way I'm drawn in this game, it's because Adam Sandler, one of them, grabbed my mouth and stuck their fist down it. And he had to be there.
We got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which was really amazing to be recognized by our peers.
You had to pinch yourself every time they told you were going to be on it and in it, and I still do.
I'd never been inducted into anything. I thought you had to wear like a condom or something to be inducted. But then they said it was for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I said, for what? We have never had a #1 single except for Don't Want to Kiss Your Thing, Miss a Thing.
Here we are up on stage doing our, acceptance speech thing, and here's Keith Richards.
Playing in front of all these people that it was like, I was just so in awe of, and they're sitting back in their chairs having a drink. And for some reason, it just got to me.
What are we doing here? We were just playing in my garage, not too many years ago, and so those are the kind of things that you go, man, this is really happening. Can't believe it.
And later on, we all got to get up on stage and jam, which was great.
Tom and I standing there looking at each other, playing at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
It's pretty cool, to be part of that, and know that you did make an impact, and you're leaving a legacy that's going to be around time after you're gone.
It's a really cool thing. It really is.
Here we are star, getting inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, doing the halftime, and then, of all things possible, winding up in Guitar Hero. I can't go anywhere and not be recognized anymore. I hate you guys. What's next for Aerosmith?
What's next for Aerosmith?
So what's next for Aerosmith?
I don't know what's next.
That's one of the greatest things about being in this band. You never know.
Our agenda never really changes that much.
We're gonna do what we always do. We just pretty much finished touring for quite a while, and we sit around for a little while and go, now what?
When are we going to be on the road? When are we going to be in the studio again? We just did a lot of touring this year.
Time to make a record. Yeah, the next big thing we're gonna do is do a studio record. You know, we haven't done one in a while.
We really want to make a great record. I mean, we don't want to put anything out there that we're not proud of or that we won't be proud of in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, we're gonna go back and make a kind of or attempt to make sort of an old school rock and roll record, kind of the way we used to do it. See if we can actually remember what that was. But we're due for a studio record, and we're really looking forward to that.
We just keep riding. And so I'm not quite sure what's next. The Lounge Act on the shovel. We got one more record with Sony. And then after that, it's internet time. And it's a wrap. That's a wrap. All right. Take it easy.
Form a band. Let's put on white shoes, play through big amps, and have a party.
We got this gig at this school.
Nipmuc High School.
What a name for a school, Nipmuc.
We saw that we were just like kind of go for the throat rock and roll, heavy electric blues.
No mother wanted their kid to go to.
I went into the locker room where they let us
We stole T-shirts from the gymnasium.
open up a locker, and there was a shirt that said Nipmuc High School, and I said, what the hell? It's got less holes than mine.
You gotta go to New York. You gotta play down there. There's this place called Max's Kansas City.
New York was such a pity, but at Max's Kansas City, we won.
Max's Kansas City was this very trendy hip club.
Which had the stage the size of a postage stamp.
And we did a song called We Don't Want to F You Lady, We Just Want to Eat Your Sandwiches.
They're not going to use that line, are they?
And Clive Davis happened to be sitting in the audience.
It really got him off.
I think we got a record deal.
Let's sign you.
Stephen wrote a song called No Surprise, which described the whole thing.
And the moment that I did that, it all just fit.
So that's how it went.
The Orpheum Theater. Edit. It was right after one of those huge stadium gigs in '79 that band kind of flew apart.
I left, and a year later, Brad left.
Tell me about what it was like in the old days with the Orpheum.
There are just a lot of memories about playing there. I still love playing there. It's got so much history for me and for the band.
We were really starting to get serious about putting the band back together.
We played a gig there in 1984.
It was like one of the high points of our career, playing there.
Russia was prekrasna.
For us to play there had some special meaning for us.
We were in St. Petersburg. We played Moscow.
Aerosmith freaks. 9-year-old kids knew the lyrics to all our songs.
It was a lot of fun playing over there.
People would come up and say, why don't you play Russia? You have tons of fans there.
Years and years we've heard stories. Oh, you guys are huge over there. You're huge. When are you coming? When are you coming? But you know, they loved rock and roll. They loved that kind of music.
It was as if we had been there the whole time.
Oh man, a big game at halftime. It's just an incredible thing that it comes off.
It was a real magic show.
Let me just tell you, backstage, it is a zoo.
Adam Sandler, one of them, grabbed my mouth and stuck their fist down it.
up and down in 6 minutes. Set up, playing, and tear down.
How are they going to pull this off? You just turn around and ask your wife, what happened?
We got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
What are we doing here? You know, we were just playing in my garage, you know, not too many years ago.
You know, I'd never been inducted into anything. I thought you had to wear like a condom or something to be inducted.
You know, here we are up on stage doing our, acceptance speech thing, and there's Keith Richards.
Playing in front of all these people that it was like, I was just so in awe of.